So the police chief of East Cleveland has been suspended pending an investigation into a collection of racist, anti-LGBT and anti-Semitic texts that he admitted to sending that he called satire. Now, local news outlets report that Police Chief Brian Gerhard's texting history reveals he sent and received numerous memes between 2019 and 2022 that were offensive in nature. It's that many of those memes that Gerhard sent and received contain the following. They say a number of anti-black messages and images, including the least one featured the N-word and another police car with watermelons for wheels. They say several photos of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, including a meme that claimed he was right about the Jews. They say an image of a Nazi war helmet that was described as very cool. They had multiple homophobic memes, including anti-LGBT quote purported to be a former Nazi SS officer, Klaus Barbie. It's one image that includes the phrase, and I quote, American presidents are slaves to the Jews. It's a suggestion that a prominent Nazi would renounce his citizenship because all of the LGBT, community in Germany today. So Gerhard defended the memes and texts to the local media. He said it's tongue-in-cheek stuff. He said there's no racism there. You can go online and find this stuff everywhere. No, you don't really find that stuff everywhere. Only the 4chans and the 8chans and the Daily Stormers and all them kind of places. Yeah, if you're frequenting those white supremacist outlets, sure, it's everywhere. But the average internet, you don't really find that kind of stuff. No, so that's a lie. He continued to say, I think there's satire. He said, now Gerhard was appointed as police chief in October 2022 amidst a backdrop of internal upheaval within the department in which numerous officers were criminally indicted for civil rights violations, felonies, they say assault, aggravated robbery, bribery, and theft. They say, in fact, Gerhard's predecessor, Scott Gardner, who was charged with theft in the office, tax violations, and aggravated theft, more than a dozen and current members of the force face various charges, they say, in a department that contains about 45 officers. Now, Gardner's attorney, Allison Hibbert, sent copies of Gerhard's text to the local media. Say Gerhard accused Gardner of trying to discredit his reputation following his appointment as police chief in efforts to rehabilitate the force. Now, they said the fact that he says memes that are 2 or 3 years old and all of a sudden turns them over to his lawyers is questionable. He was my supervisor at the time, and if he had issues with memes, then why was I not disciplined? And say Hibbert claimed that Gerhard he is a well-established reputation of a Nazi sympathizer, an anti-Semitic, a racist, and a homophobe. He said the consequences of placing someone, they say, with these ideals in a position of power is tremendously far-reaching. Even though Gerhard, the white supremacist, was suspended from his position after holidays, many have called his resignation after the text came to light. They said they want him to step down. That's by the East Cleveland City Council. They said that the Jews don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. Nobody deserves that kind of nasty behavior. Now, according to the census data, East Cleveland is mostly populated by black people. Data reveals that 88% of the city is black and 7% is white. So in a majority black town, ladies and gentlemen, you have a hardcore white supremacist neo-Nazi as the police chief. Well, why isn't the police chief a black person? That's what I want to know. White people are the minority and yet they're running the city. See, black folks, this is when we need to start talking about voting now. Let's talk about voting. You always talk about voting when it comes to a presidential election, but you never talk about voting when it comes to local. It is, listen, 88% black people, that means no white folks should be running nothing in a town of 88% black people. They shouldn't be the police chief. They shouldn't be on the city council. They shouldn't be nothing. It should be all black ran, right? All you have to do to make that happen is all 88% of you who are adults and can register to vote, get registered to vote, say, okay, I want him to be a judge, her to be the prosecutor, city council people, all these people we pick, and we all gonna go vote for them. We all gonna go vote for them. And that way it's the black takeover of our city. The same thing about Ferguson, Missouri. You have more black people in Ferguson, yet white folks are running it. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. You always want to talk about, we need to vote, get out there and vote. But then when it comes to your local cities, you don't show up to vote. But when it comes to Biden, here you come black folks running to go vote Democrat. Why don't you get that same enthusiasm to vote in your local elections instead of letting neo-Nazis become the police chief? Listen, he wouldn't have became the police chief if your city council was all black and say, we're going to stay on code and make sure this city stay black. So get more mobilized to vote in your city instead of worrying about voting for doggone and arguing with me and others about voting for doggone Joe Biden.